I believe people accidentally choose to be mediocre and not live up to their potential every day. It's an accident. Nobody ever wakes up and says, you know what, Brittany, I want to be broke. I want to be unhealthy. I don't want to have any money in my bank account. I want to fight with my partner. I want to damage my children so they're going to end up in therapy long term. Nobody ever sets those intentions. And that's the accidental curse that limiting beliefs in society puts into us because we've never questioned the beliefs that we have.
Hello, and welcome to the Shift Your Day Job podcast. I'm Brittany Cates, your host on this incredible journey of career transformation. Get ready for inspiring stories, valuable insights, and a roadmap to shift your mindset towards a more fulfilling professional life. In each episode, we explore the remarkable journeys of individuals who made a career change, offering motivation, strategies, and the confidence to pursue your dreams. Whether you're feeling stuck, contemplating a change, or just seeking a dose of inspiration, this podcast is your weekly companion. Tune in every Thursday as we uncover the secrets to shifting your day job. Welcome to another inspiring episode, and thank you for joining me today. Before I jump into introducing my guest, I would like to share with you my brand new free offer. It's a brief video training about how to successfully shift into your dream career now and avoid the one big mistake that I see women making when it comes to searching for jobs online. In this training, I will address this big mistake and teach you how to reframe your job search strategy in order to build your confidence and take more effective actions. The reason why this is so important is because by understanding this one common mistake that people make, it will empower you to not only avoid it, but take control of your career transition. So if you're interested in this training, please send me a DM on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook, and I would be happy to share the link with you and help you along on your career shift journey. Today, I'm joined by the incredible Kelly Resendez, who shares her journey of breaking free from limiting beliefs and creating a career aligned with passion and purpose. From the banking industry to real estate, and now thriving as a leader at GoodLeap, a solar financing company, Kelly's path is about transformation and embracing new possibilities. In this episode, we dive into the neuroscience of why our brains cling to what's familiar and how to break those patterns so that we can step into a more fulfilling career. Kelly also explains the power of proximity and how surrounding yourself with the right people can propel your growth. Plus, we get into the concept of an abundance audit, where we examine our support systems and make sure that they're setting us up for success. We also tackle some of the biggest challenges women face in leadership, from stress and imposter syndrome to finding that elusive work-life balance. Kelly is passionate about empowering women to break free from our self-imposed limitations, and she's a firm believer in the power of mindset, community, and intentional living. I'm sure that her authenticity, drive, and passion will really inspire you in this episode. So please join me in welcoming Kelly Resendez to the podcast. Hi, Kelly. Welcome to the Shift Your Day Job podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Brittany. Just super excited to chat.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that you're here. It's fun to see that we have some mutual connections and work in a similar industry, or at least have experience in the mortgage industry. So that's super unexpected, but really cool to make that connection with you. And I'm glad to have you here today to talk about all things abundance. I know you have the GoBundance Women group, which we'll get into a little bit later. But if you don't mind starting with your career journey, what did you start off doing? How has it evolved over time? And what are you doing now?
Yeah, awesome. So I started in the banking industry when I was still in high school. I was one of those few people that was a part of an ROP program. And man, looking back on it, how blessed I am. That was that possibility for me. So I was at a company for 16 years as a result of that ROP program. And so got into the mortgage industry. And I'll be honest, Brittany, the reason why I got in, and I think a lot of us got in, was for the money. There wasn't a lot of purpose or passion or just career assessments that I did. I worked in a bank branch and one of our loan officers showed me her paycheck and I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to do it. So that's how I started. And one of the greatest gifts that I'd had out of the gates working for, it was called Home Savings of America back in the day. Some of you listening might remember that bank, which was fantastic, was we were sponsoring a Brian Buffini event, which Brian Buffini is one of the largest speakers in the real estate space. And I realized how hungry real estate agents were for systems, structure, and inspiration. And I knew this guy was only in town for 3 days out of the year. So I really just saw it as a unique opportunity for me to continue to pour into the real estate agents that were there. And that was really the first, I would say, blue ocean strategy that I used in business, not the last, but the first, where I saw, hey, no one else is doing this. I want to really differentiate myself. And boy, did it pay off. Within a couple of years, I was hosting realtor coaching events and driving in 30 to 50 real estate agents that were seeing me as the authority on business building, the authority on systemizing their business and referrals and other things, and became a top 1% loan officer in the nation and grew an amazing team. And over many years, just had a great run at career success. But what I didn't realize is that inside I was probably dying slowly because I wasn't living my life on in an alignment with what my real passion and purpose was. So over time, I would say it probably took about 7 years of my awakening. I started into personal growth and development in 2004. I made a massive career decision that most people thought back then I was crazy. Completely left mortgage in the sense of I left my team, I left producing, I left all of those things to join a company that was wanting to do things a lot differently. I came in as an executive. I'm still there 13 and a half years later. The company that I work with now is called GoodLeap. We're the nation's largest solar financing company, and we do home improvement financing. From a financial technology side, we still have a mortgage division, but it was a massive shift. It was definitely a put all your cards on the table and take a massive risk. And there's not a moment that I regret it because I get to do what I love, which is, really making the world a better place. We're passionate about sustainability, which is exciting to me. I also lead our leadership programs, our mentor programs, training, recruiting a lot of different teams that are a lot more in alignment with the impact that I want to make in people's lives. So that's an overview of my career. And to add, just while doing that, since I've been here for 13 and a half years, the owners and leadership team knew that I wanted to make a big impact in the female leadership space too. So I published a couple books and then started GoBundance Women, which is a mastermind for ambitious female leaders to have more like-minded connections and accountability and support while they do that too. So that's an overview of my career.
Awesome. What was it that was like the triggering? What was it that you noticed when you realized, oh, this isn't quite what I want to do in order to make a
Yeah.
difference?
Yeah, what I would say is that when I started speaking and I started impacting larger groups of people, I felt so alive, so alive. Like I just was like, whether it's the dopamine, the adrenaline, the long-term impact where people reach out to you and say, thank you so much. Like it was the ripple effect of what I was sharing that I really loved. That I wasn't just affecting the one person in the audience, I was affecting all their customers, families, everyone involved. And so I knew that I loved that feeling. And I'm a big feeling person. And so then I'd get back to the office and I'd be working on a loan application or doing something like that. And the comparison between how I felt doing one thing and how I felt doing the other was just, it was worlds apart. And so I knew that I could start speaking more, which I did. I've been a speaker. I've actually spoken for your company in Vegas at events and whatnot. And so I started to speak more and get out there more within the community, which helped. And it fed what I would call that beast inside of us that's like hungry for purpose and impact. But it wasn't enough. And I knew that I needed over a period of time, but it takes a while. When you have certainty, and the certainty that I had was in the financial certainty, I was known already. I'd built a big business. A lot of times we feel imprisoned by our success, right? The people that I had talked to about it were like, "Are you crazy? Like, why would you ever walk away from that?" And there were a lot of people that fed me limiting beliefs, and I'm
Yes.
grateful that I didn't listen. I'm grateful that I followed my heart and my passion, and really my abundance mindset is what allowed me to believe in infinite possibilities. And here we are 13 and a half years later, being a multi-billion dollar company now that started off as a local company and really small. And because we set out again to find that blue ocean of what contractors needed in the home improvement space, because we really differentiated ourselves, that's what set us up for that ultimate success.
Yeah. I think you bring up a really good point of how our success can be a prison of
Oh,
sorts. And it's like you success can also equal like familiarity,
mm,
right? You know what to expect. And because success can look different for everyone, right? Like
yeah,
you were in your industry, like top 1% doing all these things and making a lot of money doing that. And yet somebody else's success could be, oh, I've always wanted to be a teacher. I am a
yeah,
teacher. I'm doing what I thought I wanted to do. And now I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And it can look different for everybody. And we always have these outsiders looking in, being like, but you did this thing. Like, why would you leave? Why would and we have to, like you said, listen to ourselves and get to that point where it's okay, I'm going to decide for me. I can't decide for anybody else.
man, Brittany, you brought up quite a few amazing points in that. So I want to unpack some of what you just said. So the first thing is that I had to really study neuroscience to understand why people weren't doing what they knew they should be doing to create more success in their life. Like being a speaker, being somebody in a place of influence, I could give them all of the tools and all of the wisdom on exactly how to do something, and they wouldn't do it. And so you brought up this idea that we really stick with familiarity. That is a brain function on purpose because your brain wasn't developed to create success. It was developed for survival, and survival thrives on what's familiar, right? If you were going out in the wild every other day and putting yourself into dangerous situations, like your brain is not going to like it. So you've got to rewire your brain. And I'll tell you, one of my greatest mentors in this space was Marissa Peer. She's a psychotherapist, but she talks a lot about the brain science behind familiarity, then you have to make the unfamiliar familiar. And you only do that by intentionality, by every day doing it. And so that is one of those things that you just need to recognize that your brain will create the prison for you if you let it. And you need to take your power back. So the more you understand your brain is different than who you really are, and you can start to see thoughts as separate, and you can start to see emotions as separate from who you are. It's just it's an auto response coming from your subconscious mind. That's just a storage of the past trying to protect you from pain. Like you're going to stay in the prison. So that's point number one. The second point is the power of proximity. We've heard before, and you hear it a lot of times, you're as successful as the five closest people to you. And when we think about that, our families, our spouses, our friends, like everyone at the end of the day, like they want to see you win, but they're also programmed. And so we have to learn how to trust our own instincts and create proximity around us to people that have already done the unknown, that are going to ask you better questions. What can I do to support you? What's the next best connection that might get you where you want to go that much faster? How can I hold you accountable to some of the things that you need to do? That's not the normal feedback that we get from our peer group. They'd be like, Brittany, what are you doing a podcast and doing this? And like, why would you do it? Like, how are you going to monetize it and whatnot? And so we need to be really intentional about our proximity. And I'm not saying get rid of your parents. I'm not saying divorce your husband if he's a naysayer. I'm just saying you need to offset it. So one of the things that I coach to is doing an abundance audit. And you can do this with your time, but you also want to do it with people too. Are they positive, negative, or neutral? And if they're positive, that's great. Are they going to challenge you? Are they going to say, what's next? Like, how can I help you get there? Or are they going to plug in those limiting beliefs? So, how are you going to do that? Are you going to have enough time? Are you going to have enough money? Are you going to have enough of these things? And really audit the power of proximity so that you come out positive. Because a lot of us have energy vampires in our life and we don't even know.
Yes, absolutely. I love that idea. Auditing your, I'm sorry, what did you call it?
I want
Auditing
an
your
abundance audit because I'm
an
an
abundance.
abundance mindset. Like I believe
Yeah.
that our outlook is our superpower. Like the way that I operate every day, and I think it's because I hear myself talk every day. Like people say, "Why do you speak so much and share so much?" And I'm like, "Because my brain's listening. It has heard me talk about abundance, and everything's always working out okay for me so many times that when I get in a difficult situation, it's programmed to be like, everything's going to work out. It sucks. It's challenging, but like, where are we going to go from here?"
Yeah. I love that because you mentioned the subconscious and how we are programmed to react with emotions or thoughts based on our past experiences and reprogramming that subconscious or even just noticing what's happening when you're triggered or how you react to certain situations in your life is just so valuable because we do need to be intentional and make the choice, right? To do something different. And you can't make a choice unless you're aware of what's going on.
Here's the thing. I believe people accidentally choose to be mediocre and not live up to their potential every day. It's an accident. Nobody ever wakes up and says, you know what, Brittany, I want to be broke. I want to be unhealthy. I don't want to have any money in my bank account. I want to fight with my partner. I want to damage my children so they're going to end up in therapy long term. Nobody ever sets those intentions. And that's the accidental curse that limiting beliefs in society puts into us because we've never questioned the beliefs that we have. My parents did the best that they could, and I accidentally picked up beliefs from them that it taken me a long time to eliminate. And when you live life on purpose, when you're really intentional about how you want to feel and how you want to show up in the world, you can't help but create more opportunity for yourself. I radiate at a level where I'm like, I can think of something and literally within a day or two, I get what I need. The right connection is in front of me. Someone reaches out because I'm so intentional about sharing with everyone. Hey, the best thing that you can do to help me is send ambitious female business owners or leaders my way, or the best thing that you can do to help GoodLeap is to send these contractors. And I'm constantly just sharing with people what I need in order to be able to live at this level. And that's one of the greatest challenges that I see with women, but men too. We don't articulate what we need for success. We just stay in isolation and we don't do the things that we really need to do. And this idea that we care too much about what other people think or people pleasers or any of these other things, like there's just so many things that we could be doing to make our life exceptional, to make our life blessed, to make our life at this level that you just wake up and you're like, wow, thank you. For me, it's thank you, Jesus, for giving me another day to do this. And for someone else, it might be whatever it is, like just feeling those blessings. You have to have intentionality behind it.
Yeah. It makes me think of a client that I worked with, and I encouraged her to just tell people like what she was trying to do, right? Like, am looking for this career position. I want to be connected with this industry or these kinds of people. And it's this idea of, are you speaking up? Are you showing up and telling people, like you said, this
Yeah.
is what I need in
Yeah.
order to progress to the next step that I want to be in? So that intentionality. And yeah, I do think that as women, our feminine energy is meant to be
Mm.
receptive, right?
It is
And
superpower.
yeah, and yet we are so resistant to it, right? To not be open enough to say, hey, I need this from you, and be willing to receive that.
Yeah. Here's the truth. Most of us aren't in our feminine power.
Exactly.
We have been shown for years and years since women got into the workforce that you've got to be in a left brain masculine posture in order to get to the next level. And that's why I believe there's three core areas that women leaders have challenges at much higher levels than men. Number one is stress. We just report much higher instances of stress, which means our physical body, our emotional body, our families, everyone's struggling as a result. The second thing is imposter syndrome. We aren't feeling our worthiness, which I'm going to say it right now. Worthiness is our birthright, period. Nothing to prove, nothing to show. It's not about your productivity, how good of a parent you are, how healthy you are, like any of those things. Like it's our birthright. Like most of us don't feel it into our bones where we're like, of course me. Like, why not me? Like, why do I think that I shouldn't have that promotion? We're not applying for the jobs. We're not advancing our career. So we can get into, there's probably a lot of challenges in corporate America where they're not doing it, but I'm not going to be a victim. I'm going to empower women to say, let's be responsible for our part. You're not applying for the jobs. You're not applying for the promotions at the same rate that a man is. You're not asking for more money. You're not raising capital at the same pace, and yet you're more successful when you do. That's another core issue. And then the third one is work-life balance. We report this is a much greater challenge for us. Like, why? We're both, why? Like, why can't we ask for what we need? And maybe that's a nanny in one household. I wouldn't have lived without my nannies, but I was really thoughtful about the types of nannies that I brought into my house and being present with my kids. So a lot of the work-life balance is about guilt. It's about shame. I used to get upset. I'd see all these moms posting Elf on the Shelf. And I just told my kids, like, listen, you didn't get an Elf on the Shelf mom. Like, it's not something I'm excited about. I know that this other mom had an elf with little tiny poops coming out of it because it ate too much. Like, it's super cute, but it's not your mom. I really chose to be thoughtful about being a conscious parent. And that eliminated a lot of that work-life balance stuff because my kids got to see me be both. And all my marker for success, was I present? Was I present when I was with my kids? Did I share and show them the lifestyle that really modeled the values that I want to send them off in the world to? And that's where guilt comes from, is that most of us aren't the change that we want to see in our kids. We want them to do their best. Like the number of parents, and I even found myself like, did you do your best? And then I'm like, I didn't do my best at work yesterday. Like I was totally lazy or this or that. And so those areas, I really truly believe as female leaders and as women that are influential, when we start to get a hold of those three things, the world's going to be a better place. And I call it being world positive because I believe that whole brain thinking, no woman ever would have allowed vape into our lives. No woman ever. If there would have been women at that table, they would have said, absolutely not. We can never do it because our 12-year-olds aren't going to know the difference. No woman ever would have said, yes, it's fine that Kraft macaroni and cheese gives us one recipe and ships a different one overseas because they have higher standards than we do. So I believe we are way more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. Like we're the ones spending the money. We can change the food industry. We can change the pharmaceutical industry. We can change. And I know when I start talking about world positivity, let me tell you, I get fired up because we are so powerful, so powerful. But we got to show up with intention and be present. Our presence is our superpower as women.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, like you mentioned earlier, women, when they do embody that power, right, they are more successful than men. And so it's the same with what you're talking about, world positivity. Like we make a difference in a bigger way than by being intentional about what we are passionate about and what our beliefs and values are. And I love that you mentioned the shame from the work-life balance not being there is from that, um, your values being off, right?
Yeah.
And so can you talk a little bit more about how do we like figure out what our values are in
Absolutely.
order to be more intentional?
Absolutely. So, what I would say is that even before you get into values, the first thing that you really want to do is put your priorities in order. And so, for me, being very faith based, I put God at the top. Then it's my emotional and physical well being. 90% of women I talk to are unwilling to put themselves before their children or their partners or their job. It's the first decision you need to make. If you're going to give any intentionality to values, like you need to value self. We've heard that it's like putting on the oxygen mask first, whatever you want to call it. Like, why pour from an empty cup? Be overflowing. Be in that place where you love on yourself. My morning ritual, which I do 365 days out of the year, sets the tone for the rest of my day because I've already put myself first. I'm not getting the crumbs. I'm not getting the crumbs that I have left over at the end of the day after I've given because I never know what a work day is going to look like. I never know how much energy I might leak throughout the day. And so that's the first thing. And then when you look at values, and there's all sorts of tools out there, you can go Google values or whatnot. When it comes to parenting, I say isolate 3 that you really want to focus on so that when your kids leave, you're like, you know what? My kids really do value love and they know what love says. They know how love shows up. They know what loving kindness is. They know all of these things because I wanted my kids to be kind. And that goes along with love, right? Other values are things like patience. I value patience. I have an aging father. I had a mom that was sick at a young age. I had to have an abundance of patience or it would have changed the entire way that I functioned in my life. And so values can be vast. So it can be from purpose to passion to world positivity to sustainability, like really just isolating in different areas of your life, what's most important to you, and then looking at those words. I look at in my morning ritual, I look at my priorities as a reminder every day. I look at my values every day. I look at my goals every day because I need to tell my brain what's important. The reason why I'm on this call with you is because I filter everything through my purpose, which is with an open heart, I'm going to share the wisdom that I've gained on my journey to help women increase joy and reduce self suffering and make the world a better place. It's a hell yes for me to anything that I get to show up and do that. I filter my decisions through my purpose, through my values, and through my priorities. So before I say yes to something, I've got to make sure it's in alignment. And I also it can offset, right? I'm probably going to have some meetings that I really don't want to go into, like you will today, that are like not as fun. And it's an offset. It's a big plus, right? It's going to offset some of these other things. So the first thing is just isolating, I would say 5 for your life. And then if you're a parent, maybe 3. If you're dating, like 10. Much easier to filter through a bigger lens there, just to make sure that you do have alignment. Like I really value health. And so every day it's how do I make sure that I'm valuing my health and taking care of myself?
I love that. I am thinking of having that as a parent. I'm not a parent, but I have a nephew now, and it like brings up all these things for me that I've never thought about or experienced before. And I can see having those top 3 values and how that influences the way that you're raising your
Yeah.
kids. And I think that's so powerful that it doesn't have to be a ton, it just has to be like the essentials, right? You want your kid to be loving and kind and good, a good person. And so everything you're doing as you're raising them is through
Yeah.
that lens to build them into the person, that type of a person. But you can't be with them everywhere, right? So yeah, I love that idea of prioritizing.
What I'd say on parenting. This is what I believe the number one goal of parenting should be. Keep them awake. Keep them awake because I didn't awaken until 2004. I lived for everyone else. I was a classic people pleaser perfectionist that had no idea that my thoughts weren't who I was. No idea. And so when I had really looked at my number one goal, and I am so grateful if your audience has never checked out Dr. Shafali, She's been instrumental in my life in this area. She's Oprah's favorite conscious parenting coach. But I looked at it as being like, okay, if I can keep my children awake and teach them that they may not be surrounded with other woke kids and how they're going to navigate that. Like it is a W for the win. I don't want them to see society as you have to go to college because of this. You need to fit in. You need to make yourself smaller. You're too much. You're not enough, whatever any of those things are. And so really authenticity was something that I valued. And when you look at our path as adults, we're trying to become more childlike.
Yeah.
We are. I want to be the 4-year-old that doesn't care so much about what other people think. Before your frontal lobe kicks on, you're like, I'm free. Everyone loves and likes me, and I'm totally happy. And can I have a popsicle? It's that simple. And that's the way that we don't have the chains of what society has placed on us. And so for me, it was how do I keep them awake? And then how do I share some values so that they live for themselves? I didn't want them to live for me. I wanted them and so I was a totally different parent. I didn't subscribe to the put all this massive pressure on my kids. Now they might tell you in soccer I did a little bit. Not gonna lie. I was a little passionate about that. But I allowed them to make mistakes. That's the second thing that I would tell any parent that's listening. Quit trying to teach your kids how not to make the same mistakes that you did. Your mistakes created the resiliency, the courage, the confidence that you needed to get where you go. Let them fail. Failure is such a great teacher. And that's what I'm seeing. We hire a lot of people here, and it's the emotional intelligence of a lot of these kids is low because their parents didn't allow them to make the mistakes. They sheltered them. They solved problems for them. And being a problem solver is a great skill. Learning how to critically think is a great skill. And if you rob your kids of that experience, like they're just not going to have the richness of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love I follow a lot of accounts on Instagram about kids and raising kids since I have a nephew. I'm like interested now, like in all that stuff. But I think it's the Montessori perspective of let them climb the tree or let them have that experience and try and if they can't figure out how to get up there, let them struggle and don't just like swoop in and show them or save them. Let them figure it out. That's what we're here for is to figure it out. It's not a failure, right? Like when they're a little kid, like that's not a failure. Like they've never done it before. And yet as adults, we're like, I've never done it before, but I think I should be perfect right out of the gate. And where does that come from? Yeah, no, I love
And
all
we
of
have
those.
all these controls and things like, yes, I agree. We should not allow our kids freedom on technology. There's a reason. Yeah. There's a reason why Apple was made the way that it was. It's highly addictive, going to pull you in. It's going to rob your brain of a lot of what you need. And so keeping your kids away from phones rather than just monitoring what it is as long as humanly possible is a great plan for you. And then getting comfortable with, I grew up without my mom tracking me. I didn't have a tracker on me. Really give yourself some freedom and trust your kids.
So let's maybe backtrack a little bit. I love this conversation. Can you talk about maybe, okay, one of the things I wanted to know was this company that you left your other, would you say mortgage industry? You left the mortgage industry for this company? Is that what you would say? Okay.
Yeah, we had a mortgage company. So I came here for mortgage and ran a mortgage sales team for a long time as a leader. However, it was definitely a much different company because we were doing a lot of forward thinking things like solar at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was it about this opportunity that stood out to you and made you want to obviously the values and the service piece, but
Yeah.
what was it about this opportunity that called to you?
Yeah, I'll be honest. The CEO of our company, Hayes Barnard, is one of the most dynamic visionaries that we'll probably see in our lifetime. I know we hear a lot about Elon Musk, but Hayes is definitely up there and has helped us really think bigger than what any of us ever even imagined initially. And so it was the combination between his commitment to personal growth and development, because that's what I was really passionate about. I'm like, sales isn't just about selling a product. It's about who you're being. And that was my expertise, was teaching people how to energetically like really be of a place of service and influence and whatnot. And so that was the first thing. The second thing was the values lineup. Definitely. We had a strong commitment to contribution. And so our now president, Give Power, which is our nonprofit that we have at givepower.org, one of the best nonprofits out there. If anyone's interested, we have clean water for about 1 million people a day today because of our water desalination plants, and have brought solar power into 2,500 plus schools across the world in developing areas. And so Michelle was our CMO at the time and really just shared how like her heart was for contribution, and that was really important to me as well. And so that combination between having the vision for where we wanted to go, and Hayes's commitment was we're going to change the world, which we have. And then the culture, hey, you're going to have an opportunity to really help us with the people. And then that third piece of contribution is really what set it apart. And I loved working at the company that I was at before. It was a great company and one of the most solid in the financial services space. But I was looking for that really intentional purpose of like, how do we make the planet a better place too?
Yeah. Amazing. And then how has this evolved into your GoBundance Women program?
Yeah, I'm big on ands. It sounds like, Brittany, you obviously have ands in your life, and that's how we're both here. Big on ands. I believe that we can find purpose and passion in other things outside of our day jobs as well. And so GoBundance actually came from a place of loneliness. I had been a female executive for years and just a high net worth, high income earning individual. And I didn't have other peers that I felt were going to challenge and push me to the next level. And I was honestly like being a little bit of a whiner and telling somebody else even though I was in abundance in every area of my life, I was definitely being a little bit of a victim. Let me tell you, there are no other like-minded women. All my best friends are guys and blah, blah, blah. And someone's, have you ever heard of GoBundance? And I'm like, no. We're like, it's a men's organization of high achieving men that travel and do all of these things together. And I heard they're interested in starting a women's division. And I was like, on the phone next day, let's go. And so over the next couple of years, few of us, my partner, Kathy, and myself and others founded the organization. And then over the last year and a half, took ownership of the Women's GoBundance group and just have amazing members. And now there is no shortage of amazing like-minded women that are really wanting to think next level and also make an impact too.
Yeah. A recent guest I had was talking about community, and if you don't have one, build one, right?
Oh my
And
gosh, absolutely.
yeah, and surrounding yourself
Do it.
with like-minded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sur-
And it's
surround yourself.
definitely, last night I had about 8 women that were in mortgage and title over another community that I built local, because it's just, we are hungry for that connection. And I think what most of us do is that it's just easy to isolate, right? We've got Netflix at our fingertips. We could stay home and enjoy life all day long, but we got to push ourselves to get out there, because it is the challenge that comes with friendship, I think, that gets us to that next level.
Yeah. And being able to see other people doing and making impact as a woman, or even in a specific industry or in the world, is really, it gives us that energy and that belief that anything's possible. We could do something like that too.
Yeah.
And having that accountability of the friend who can see your potential and help push you in
Yeah.
and growing, I think, yes, we definitely need that
Well,
support.
as a high achiever, we often give ourselves permission to not continue to grow. Like, it's easy. Like, you can be like, oh, in comparison to everyone else, I'm doing so great or whatnot. But I believe wholeheartedly we all have this internal calling, and it's not going to go away. It is not going to go away. And sometimes, I'm a massive proponent that miracles come into your life for a reason. And we're like, sometimes it'll push you to the next level. Like, an introduction or something will happen where you're like, oh, I can't ignore that one anymore. But I think we do need that accountability to keep showing up and to keep reaching for more. Because it's not that, hey, I don't want you to be satisfied with where you are, but part of our spirit, part of that essence of joy comes from doing things just a little beyond what you've done so far.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Kelly, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed our conversation and your energy and passion behind what you do. It just through your speaking, and I'm so excited to share this with my audience. So thank you
Yeah.
for being a guest.
Absolutely. And Brittany, I've got an awesome giveaway for your guests today. So I've got a 3-part series that you can download and listen to on overcoming self-sabotage and some of the major ways that we do self-sabotage. Some of them we've touched on briefly today, but it goes a lot deeper today. And that's at www.downloadthepod.com. Part of what we have in GoBundance are pods, 4 to 5 amazing people that kind of become the board of directors in your life. Got that for you. You can always check out GoBundanceWomen.com as well and find me on social anywhere under my name, and would love to connect with you, your audience, and support you guys in any way that I can.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Awesome.
I'm excited to share that with the audience. And yeah, I hope that people connect with you because I think you're doing some great things, and it's just amazing to now be connected with you myself. So
Yeah.
thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you so much. You've been a great host.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and a huge thank you to our guest for sharing such valuable insights. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback helps others discover the podcast, and it means the world to me as I continue to bring you content that supports your career change journey. If today's conversation resonated with you and you're feeling stuck in a career that doesn't fulfill you anymore, I'm here to help. My one-on-one career coaching program is designed specifically for women who are ready to break free from the grind and discover a career that truly excites them. In our sessions, we'll uncover what's holding you back, identify your true passions, and create a clear, actionable plan to transition you into a career that aligns with your deepest values. You can get in touch with me directly at shiftyourdayjob@gmail.com, or you can connect with me on social media at shiftyourdayjob. I'd love to hear from you and support you on this journey. Until next time, I'm your host, Brittany Cates, and together, let's shift your day job.